All right, guys. I just had to cover this. We're gonna talk about we're gonna do a reaction to Piers Morgan's coverage of Bad Bunny, the Super Bowl, and I want you guys to pay attention to Magen Kelly's reaction. This woman is something else, bro. Anyway, let's just check it out. Watch this.
I watched the Bad Bunny show. I saw nothing problematic about it at all.
This is supposed to be a unifying event for the country, not for the Latinos.
I want to send a signal to Americans that the most radical act in a capitalist society is non-participation, and that you have power to decide where you want to spend your money and where you don't want to spend your money.
The left wants to tank the U.S. economy in order to punish President Trump for the crime of having been elected by most American voters.
Even we think this is bad. We love kissing the president's butt. We don't think anything is racist, and we still think, I don't know, maybe you shouldn't put the Obamas as monkeys.
Absolutely terrible. One of the worst ever was the US president's verdict on the Super Bowl halftime show. Nobody understands a word this guy is saying, said Donald Trump. A slap in the face to our country. Trump didn't comment on the alternative all-American halftime show staged by Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA, presumably because he was watching Bad Bunny. And the truth is that both the alternative show and the president's statement felt like they were contrived as a response to something which ultimately didn't happen. Many expected Green Day and Bad Bunny to use the biggest show in the world of television to skewer the president and rail against ICE. But actually they didn't. Now, I'm no Bad Bunny apologist. I didn't know much about him, actually, before yesterday, and also don't speak Spanish, but I actually really enjoyed his performance. I thought the staging, the choreography, the theatre was the best I've ever seen in a halftime show. And actually, the message was about togetherness and love and unity. What's wrong with that? He didn't perform in Spanish to prove a point. He always sings in Spanish, just as Luciano Pavarotti sings in Italian. The criticism of the whole thing is that he sang in a language spoken by 60 million Americans, including the Secretary of State. Is that a problem?
They want
like I said, the president used to play Pavarotti's Nessun Dorma at his campaign rallies. It even played at the end of the emotional 2024 RNC as Trump accepted his nomination just days after being shot. Nessun Dorma, to remind you, is entirely in Italian. Well, I'll be joined by my panel in a moment. But first, let's hear from the host of the Magen Kelly Show. Magen Kelly, Megan, great to have you back on Uncensored.
This Ozempic
Great
demon.
to see you back, sort of on your feet and looking
I used
so
to
well,
like
Piers.
her. I thought she was beautiful.
Do you know what? I took my first steps. I felt like Neil Armstrong today. I was walking along my high street with two crutches.
Human garbage.
24 days after face planting, and it felt like a moment. I was like out of the house, suddenly breathing fresh air again. The whole thing has reminded me that in the end, if you don't have good health, you're screwed.
It's so true. But you're strong. Good for you. I'm amazed. I saw that picture and I thought, A, it's great you're back on your feet, and B, good for you for posting your progress. A lot of men wouldn't want to post that with the two crutches, but it's a testament to your fortitude that you're doing it at all and that you're still doing your show. I admire your strength, as always.
Do you know what? I mean, I won't labour the point, but 100,000 people a year in the UK alone have hip replacements. Now, mine was forced by injury, but actually that's a lot of people. And I just thought, I've got a lot of followers. Why don't I just tell them how I'm getting on? Because the response I've had has been incredible. People telling me about what they've been going through and it's a big thing. Hip replacements are the new cool thing.
That's right. And now you don't have to worry about it in 15 years like the rest of us will. Look, we're getting older, Piers. That's the truth. But you know what? We're the youngest we'll ever be for the rest of our lives, so let's enjoy it.
Do you know what? You sent me the best response, or best message. You just said, look, pains in the arse like me and you, we never die young.
So we've got that going for us. Fingers crossed.
Well, talking of pains in the ass, let's get into something, because there are going to be some things that I talk about with you where we're going to be in total agreement. But I'm going to start with something where I know we are totally in disagreement, and that is Bad Bunny. So I got up this morning and I watched it all without reading anything about it. I just thought, I want to watch this completely clean without anyone's view contaminating my brain cells. And I watched all 15 minutes of it. And I've watched every halftime show going back 30, 40 years. I thought as a piece of theatre, it was the best I've seen. Just the most extraordinary kind of Broadway on steroids piece of theatre. I also thought it wasn't
good.
remotely divisive politically in the end. His Grammys speech was, but his performance, I thought, was actually a lot of things which I would have thought people on the conservative right would applaud. It was about love. A couple actually got married for real in the middle of it. He was preaching about unity, not just the United States of America, but the wider Americas. What was the problem, Megan?
A certain male gesture is coming to mind, but I'm not sure I can do it on this show. No, it wasn't about what he was actually going to do during the middle of the Super Bowl performance. It's about him. It's about him being chosen as the Super Bowl performer, somebody who's been an outspoken critic, of course, of the Trump administration and of America and our anti-immigrant policies. This is long before the current controversy over ICE. He doesn't want illegals deported from this country. Well, too bad, because the majority of Americans do want that and are not shy about pushing for it, and that's why President Trump got elected. So he and his little buddies over at Green Day never miss a chance to bash the United States of America. He got selected because Jay-Z, for some reason, has got the choice over who performs at our Super Bowl, who's another problem. Don't even get me started on his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. Why is he choosing who's appropriate for American?
So let me get this straight, Magen Kelly. When Jay-Z is brought up in the Epstein files, now it's a problem. But when Donald Trump is brought up, he wasn't really a pedophile. He didn't like kids. He liked girls on the younger side. So it's okay. This piece of shit keeps moving the goalposts when it suits her white supremacist ideology, right? When it's Donald Trump, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But Jay-Z, a black man, now we need to call the cops. We need to lock him up. He's a problem. Are you dumb? Seriously, bitch, are you dumb? Do you not see the problem here? You don't see the contradiction, the hypocrisy. How can anybody take you seriously when you act like that? You're so blinded with racism, it's making you so retarded, like so stupid. What the hell?
Children to watch during our seminal sporting event. And I'm sorry, Piers, but to get up there and perform the whole show in Spanish is a middle finger to the rest of America. Who gives a damn that we have
Spanish is an American. Listen, in America, Spanish is the country's second language. You dumb bitch. Spanish is fine because it's the second language of the United States. You freaking blonde bimbo dumbass bitch. Ozempic bony butt bitch.
40 million Spanish speakers in the United States. We have 310 million who don't speak a lick of Spanish. This is supposed to be a unifying event for the country, not for the Latinos, not for one small group, but for the country.
You guys had Kid Rock at the stupid Turning Point event, and he was singing Ba Witcha Bada Bang. Nobody knows what that means. I don't know what that means. Kid Rock himself doesn't know what that means. There's a lot of songs with lyrics that doesn't make any sense, and people still bump their head and enjoy it. Music is a universal language. You dumb bitch. You racist dumb bitch.
We don't need a black national anthem. We don't need a Spanish-speaking, non-English performer, and we don't need an ICE or America hater featured as our primetime entertainment.
Okay, what is the national language, officially, the national language of the United States of America?
Good question.
I mean, English.
You got caught.
And there's been a push for many years to make
it's not English.
It's
not English.
You don't have one.
Documented thing.
You don't have one.
If you would have let me finish my comment, I would have pointed that out, but people have been pushing to make it official.
Okay,
All right,
so
now let
you're
me tell
trying
you
to make
something.
official.
This attitude that
but
you have right here is why you in Great Britain have lost your culture. You ceded your culture to a bunch of radical Muslims who came in and took over, and now it's gone. We're not allowing that here. Whether it's Hispanic, whether it's Muslim, it's not happening in the United States of America. That's why President Trump was elected.
Can we
and
get
whether it's
Ronda
Bad
Rousey
Bunny,
to
who
punch
is
her in the
American but
face?
refuses to speak English
We
in his
need Ronda Rousey to
performances,
punch this bitch
or
in the
anybody
face,
else,
bro.
we have to keep the Super Bowl, which is a quintessential American event. Football, that kind of football, is ours. They call it American football. And the halftime show and everything around it needs to stay quintessentially American. Not Spanish, not Muslim, not anything other than good old-fashioned American apple pie. There should be a meatloaf, maybe some fried chicken, and an English-speaking performer. That's what the Super Bowl should be.
Boring.
Okay, two things. One, you've conceded you don't have a national language in the United States officially. And secondly, the language you do want to be your official language is my language. The language of the country you think has gone to pot. So my obvious follow-up is, Megan, why do you want English as your national language if you think England is gone to hell in a handcart?
Good question.
I think those medications for your hip have gone too far. You need to, we need to dial back a pill or two, okay? We want something that we can all understand. I don't think Bad Bunny used his appearance to bash America, but I can't be sure because I didn't see any subcaptions on his Spanish language performance.
But what about Pavarotti?
They chose two America haters.
What about Pavarotti, who Donald Trump in 2016 in particular would use at every campaign rally? He's used it at the RNC, right, as a triumphant, tub-thumping anthem. Well, no, hang on. Not only Pavarotti.
I've been at lots of Trump rallies. Pavarotti gets a song, maybe
but
two.
He sings, but when he sings Nessun Dorma in Italian, I don't see you leaping up and down going, I can't understand a word of it. You're probably singing along.
I don't remember him being the Super Bowl halftime show, was he?
Well, would you have minded if he was?
Yes, I would have, because we feature English-speaking performers at the quintessentially American event of the Super Bowl.
Bitch, shut up. People aren't as dumb as you think. It's not about the language he speaks. It's the color of his skin. You want it all white. And because it wasn't white performers, you're mad. That's what you're mad about. Shut up. You're not fooling anybody. Fix your wig.
Do Michael Jackson. We do Whitney Houston. We do great bands that love America, like American rap. That's a different situation. This guy who can't stand the country comes out and starts speaking in Spanish, and I'm sure the people in South Florida really enjoyed it. The people in an American territory, Puerto Rico, really enjoyed it. But the people in the heartland had no idea what the hell was happening. This is a guy who loves to parade around in a dress, who again hangs out with Jay-Z and his Epstein-loving pals, who gets up there when he's not bashing America with his pals at Green Day, who are from the far left People's Republic of California, who have never missed a chance to rip on Trump, MAGA, half the country, or ICE, and that's something they share with Bad Bunny. That's not representative of what the heartland wants to see. And the heartland always gets the middle finger from people like Jay-Z, like Roger Goodell, who should know better, but he's a panderer who runs the NFL. And that's why you had probably closer to 10 million people turning the channel and turning to the turning point.
If anyone has ever wondered what a Ku Klux Klanman wife would look like, this is it right here. If you ever wondered what a Klansman's wife would look like, this is it right here. Right here. Gosh, she's so terrible.
Event, which was pro-American, which was absolutely beautiful, which had several references to God and faith and this country, which had a tribute to Charlie Kirk at the end of it, and talked about Jesus and how he can change your life. That's what America's all about. We are founded as a Christian nation. We're still a Christian nation. And what we want is somebody up there to celebrate how freaking special this country is, not a bunch of people who can't stand us. And over what? Over our desire to get illegal immigrants who are raping and molesting our children out of our country. That's all ICE is doing.
According to FBI records, when it comes to domestic crimes and terrorism, it's white men, serial killers, rape. Okay, look at all the teachers in school that are raping 14 and 12-year-old boys. Okay? This isn't according to me. This is according to the FBI. Their stats and numbers don't lie. And I'm not picking on white people. I'm just keeping it 100% accurate here.
Okay. Every new year, I think about what a real fresh start looks like. And for me, it always begins at home. Cozy Earth is my go-to for a winter blues-busting reset. They've just launched their new Baja bedding set, and you really need to check this out. It's their first fully matching collection. Sheets, duvet cover, quilt, coverlet, all inspired by the soothing tones of Baja California. The designs are classy, the fabrics are premium, and they'll give your bedroom an elevated resort-like look. And the Cozy Earth product that I use every day, the Luxe Bath Towels. These towels are incredible, made from a cotton and bamboo viscous blend with zero twist technology. So they're plush, absorbent, and feel like a warm hug when you step out of the shower. Everything comes with a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty. So start the new year with real comfort. Go to CozyEarth.com and use my code Piers, P-I-E-R-S, for up to 20% off. That's CozyEarth.com, code Piers. And if you get a post-purchase survey, mention you heard about Cozy Earth right here. Let me present a different view of Bad Bunny, which is he's the son of a truck driver and a teacher. Born in Puerto Rico, he's an American, born there, naturalized American. He is the most successful artist in the world. He's the most streamed artist globally on Spotify for 4 consecutive years. Nearly 20 billion downloads in 2025 alone. He has sold 123 million equivalent album sales. He's won Grammys, he's won everything. He is a fantastically successful American story, isn't he? And isn't the fact that he ends up performing at the halftime show exactly the kind of journey that America was founded on, which is a guy who comes from very little, born in America, who actually makes it to the biggest pinnacle because he is, right? I mean, look, I love Kid Rock, okay? And I actually really enjoy the Turning Point show as well. I like them both. But Kid Rock's not had a hit single in the last 11 years. This guy is right now the hottest star in the world. And he should be on the halftime show. I can't think of a compelling reason why
divisive.
Not.
Because he's too divisive, Piers. I'm giving you the reason. Maybe because you're not an American, you don't get it. He is too divisive a figure. No one would begrudge him his personal success story. Good for him. Great. We love that here in America. Just like we love when our half-pipe freestyle skiers make it to the Olympics, despite all odds. They overcome them, but when you go overseas wearing the American uniform and you bash America on foreign soil, when you're wearing our stars and stripes, we get very upset here in America. It's not that we don't stand for free speech or differences of opinion or love rags to riches stories. We do all of those things. But there are certain things that we expect of the people who are representing us when they're overseas as Olympic athletes or when they're in the middle of the Super Bowl, which is our event. That is a heartland event that gets usually man, but lots of women too, on their feet, feeling patriotic year after year. It's one of the reasons why we love it. And the last thing we want is someone who's a harsh partisan who we know can't stand the country. And you're wrong. He wasn't totally patriotic at that event. He ended it by saying, God bless America, and then listed all the countries in all of the Americas, which is not how we here in the United States view the USA.
Get out of here with your
shit. We actually do believe in American exceptionalism.
Disgusting.
And we believe we actually do have a higher claim to morality than some of the countries he was listing, like Mexico.
But you wouldn't want him to have his First Amendment rights infringed on his ability to criticize certain policies of a particular American. Of course not.
No one's talking about that, but he has no right to perform at the Super Bowl.
As an American citizen? Really? That's disqualified. So
the First Amendment has nothing to do with it.
Anyone who's ever been...
The First Amendment has nothing to do with it. The First Amendment is about government censorship of speech.
Hang on. Anyone who's been critical then of the U.S. government should not be allowed to perform at the halftime show. Is that your position?
I don't think that'd be my selection. I do think you should find somebody who is more of a unifier, and there are plenty of them. There are still millions of people out there who have very strong political opinions, but they don't voice them publicly because they realize they're in a line of work where that could be alienating to their customer base. The same is true for these performers. And if you want to be super outspoken, if you want to be a Jane Fonda, then go for it. But don't expect yourself to be placed in the middle of what's supposed to be a nonpartisan event and be a so-called unifier. We put up with this year after year after year. But right now, we're in a serious battle over immigration enforcement, something the country voted for overwhelmingly. And to pick two acts who are as outspoken against that as these two and plop them into the middle of the event is a middle finger by Roger Goodell. It's picking a side in the most divisive debate we're having right now in the country. And it was wrong. It was a mistake.
Good. Well, I'm glad we reached a point of zero agreement on that. Well, let's move to an issue where I think we will agree, and this is the separate issue of Hunter Hess, the U.S. Winter Olympic skier, who said this at the weekend.
It brings up mixed emotions to represent the U.S. right now, I think. It's a little hard. There's obviously a lot going on that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think a lot of people aren't. I think for me, it's more I'm representing my friends and family back home, the people that represent it before me, all the things that I believe are good about the U.S.
Just being a human being,
I just think
with compassion,
if it aligns with my moral values, I feel like I'm representing it. Just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S.
Your attitude after this.
You see, I think when you're representing your country, I'm trying to think, what would I feel if that was a Team GB guy saying that about Britain? And I wouldn't like it, because I think if you're representing your country in a global event like the Olympics, just avoid criticizing your country while you're doing it. It seems to me pretty straightforward transactional deal.
Do you know what athletes over here would give to don the Stars and Stripes and go represent the United States at the Olympic Games? Anything. Anything. Those things get decided by 1/100th of a second when it comes to speed or landings, etc. And this guy, he gets the privilege of going. And he has forgotten the most important lesson of the great Herb Brooks, who coached the Miracle on Ice team that won against the Russians in 1980 in an event so historic, they've made several movies out of it and documentaries beyond, which is the name on the front of your jersey is a whole hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. You go because you're representing the United States of America, not the guy back here. No one gives a damn about you, Mr. Hess. You'll be forgotten in about 2 minutes, whether you win gold or not. That's the truth. But your bad behavior about your country and the flag that you have been sent to represent will be remembered for a long time. You have single-handedly managed to alienate more than half the country, because it's not just conservatives who are outraged at this. There are still a lot of old regular, moderate, liberal Americans who don't like this crap. If you can't represent the country proudly, don't go. And he says, oh, I'm representing my family and my friends. They don't have the power to let you wear those Stars and Stripes. They are not empowered to grant you that uniform and let you say you represent the United States of America and run in the red, white, and blue, or ski in the red, white, and blue. They can't do that for you. Your friends and family can give you the hot cocoa when you come in from the mountain, but they can't give you the Stars and Stripes and America on your back. So if you can't represent that country proudly, get that jersey off of your back and give it to someone who can. I think I speak for most Americans when I say we'd rather lose. We'd rather come in third or second or not place at all than win with a guy who can't stand the country he's doing it on behalf of.
Today's show is sponsored by Oxford Natural, makers of the Optimum Day and Optimum Night all-natural supplements. Thousands suddenly spoke out against their governments. Would we say the same thing, or would we actually cheer them on? It's an interesting question.
Well, I don't think we'd have to debate it because they'd be dead before the beginning of their heat. I mean, China does not tolerate that, and really Russia doesn't either. It's only America that, of course, that's the bitter irony. Like, you know, there's an ice skater, Piers, some no-name loser, who got out there and ripped on America too because she's pansexual. No one even knows what the hell that is. It's fake, made-up bullshit. So she gets out there to say, like, I'm queer, I'm pansexual, and it's been a really tough time for people in the LGBTQ community lately. Really? What gay rights have you not enjoyed as an American citizen? Nothing. It's a lie. She's, first of all, trying to glom onto what's happening in the trans community, which the LGB people have broken up with, but she hasn't gotten the memo because there's complete parity and equal rights for all gay people in America. There's an issue over trans people because that's a whole different kettle of fish. And even our Supreme Court has recognized that as of late. In any event, she's trying to glom on because she loves victimhood. So she's tried to raise it as a fake issue because that's just what she wants to do. Do you think you could do that in Russia? You think you could even speak out? Will anybody from a country where they criminalize gay rights speak up? No, they won't. And as an American, I have no problem with that. There's a time and a place. You should speak up for it when you can. When you're in your country, if you want to fight for freedom of speech, you want to fight for civil rights, go for it if you can. The beauty of being in America is you can. You can burn our flag. You can stand on the sidewalks. I love protest. I would be fine with the anti-ICE protesters if they would just behave like normal humans instead of biting off the fingers of the ICE agents. I have a problem with that. That's not protest. That's criminality. So these people who want to go over there and criticize China or criticize Russia, okay, you should do that in your countries. You should do that when and if you can. And if you can't, it's a much bigger problem. The Iranians are dealing with that right now. As Americans, we can criticize our government to high heaven anytime we want to, all over our airwaves, in our thoughts, on our streets. It happens every day. That's part of what's so gorgeous and awesome about our country. But these know-nothings don't understand that and want to go over there and tell audiences that include people from China and elsewhere about our human rights violations, which are amorphous and unnamed, like from this queer pansexual.
Megan, as you know, I love you, and I particularly love you when you're on such feisty form, and I love arguing with you, actually, apart from anything else. But not everyone is a super Magen Kelly fan. You've been taking a lot of flack recently, and I want to play a clip from Kara Swisher from the podcast Pivot she does with Scott Galloway, who's actually coming on my show a little later today. So I want to get your response to this.
Hey, Megan, good to give you content. You'll attack me and not Scott, who's appropriately critical of you, but that's fine. Whatever you want, girl. Next up, Bill
I've
and
been
Hillary.
on Megan's show. Have you been on her show?
No, of course not. Why would I? Why would I soil
I don't get
myself?
it, though. I think she's very talented.
She has turned into something else. Scott, you're not paying attention.
No, I would argue over the last few years, Megan has gone very, very conspiracy theory and has decided the more insane, incendiary shit I say, is it that she's making money or has she seriously lost her shit?
Yeah, I don't know.
Megan, they think you've gone bonkers. What is your response before I speak to Mr. Galloway a little later?
I mean, I'd love to know what his examples are of that because I'm the least conspiratorial person on camera. I believe we did land on the moon. I believe the Saudis were behind 9/11. I believe that Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK. That's something my detractors want to say about me because they don't think I'm critical enough of Candace Owens. That's really what it's about. But let me tell you why Kara Swisher actually doesn't like me. Because Kara Swisher is embarrassed. Just bringing up my name triggers her because we used to be friends. And I was going to go on her podcast. And I was booked for, I think, a Tuesday. And the previous Friday, my sister, who was only 58 years old, died. And my assistant sent Kara Swisher an email saying, Megan suffered a family emergency and she's not going to be able to make your podcast on Tuesday. And Kara Swisher responded by mocking me, saying she didn't believe that I had a family emergency and she thought I was too afraid to go on her podcast because I'd been in the news as being a controversial person for saying the COVID vaccine was causing deadly myocarditis in teenage boys, which we now know was a fact, and I was right about it. And when ultimately, 2 days later or 3 days later, when I got back on Monday and it became national news, my sister had died, did she send an email saying, I'm very embarrassed for saying that. I'm very sorry for suggesting she didn't have a family emergency and that she was just afraid of me. No, she didn't. She wasn't sorry. She had made a fool out of herself and she's been avoiding me ever since. That's Kara Swisher's problem.
I'll give her that, Megan. That
And
is
just
pretty
on
sad.
Candace Owens, you've been
sad.
very supportive of her, not critical, even though she, I would argue, and I have to her face when I've had her on the show, well, I get on well with Candace, but some of the stuff she's been doing in relation to Erica Kirk, Brigitte Macron and others, I do think is really regrettable kind of conspiracy theory nonsense just for clicks and money. Why would you hesitate before criticizing her over stuff like that?
I've criticized Candace many times over the years. We've had many public fights over the years. But isn't it interesting that you will, quote, platform Candace? She hasn't been on my show in several years, but I get all the hard time. Why am I getting that? You're the one, quote, platforming Candace Owens. She and I don't have that kind of relationship. Candace took a bunch of crap because she was very anti-Israel in the Gaza war. And it became a thing where you had to say she was terrible in her positioning. And then after Charlie died, she started questioning whether Israel had any role in it. And that's when they really tried to amp up the pressure on me to condemn her. And I refused because Charlie was starting to have serious questions about Israel. Not just its role in the Gaza war, but its influence on American politicians, something he and I spent hours and hours discussing. So I had no problem with Candace Owens asking those questions. And I refused to condemn her because I was under pressure from these people who wanted me to. And then that morphed into then everything Candace said thereafter, with which I may or may not have had serious problems, that I had to, where's the condemnation? And it was all really about the Israel thing. And I'd rather die than bend the knee to these people. I'd rather die than bend the knee. It won't happen. I didn't raise my fist and say BLM, and I'm not going to condemn the people they want me to condemn just so that I can get a little pat on their head, on my head from them. It's not important to me. What's important to me is I live free. And that, frankly, is what it means to be an American.
Magen Kelly, that is precisely why I am so fond of you. Thank you very much indeed for coming on Uncensored and giving me such a fantastic interview.
Lots of love.
Well, joining me now is the host of the Daily Wire's Michael Knowles Show, Michael Knowles, Jack Posobiec, the senior editor of Human Events, who will open the alternative halftime show with Kid Rock, Glenn Greenwald, the host of System Update, and Mark Lamont.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining me. If you want to watch the full video, go to Piers Morgan's channel. Like and subscribe to his channel. Tell him I sent you. And be sure to subscribe to my channel. And show me some love. I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good day. Peace.